is a More Doug life and car update. I thought I'd film a little video here for More Doug, kind of updating you on my life because there's some news worth mentioning, and giving you a quick update on my cars. Okay, first order of business. My wife and I just bought a house for the first time. We have just started to move in. Things are a little bit in disarray, which is why I am sitting on a bench in my garage using a Land Rover Defender bumper as a computer stand. I do plan on kind of using this garage as a filming space for some of these More Doug videos, so hopefully it will improve a little, but this is a general idea of how it's going to look. But anyway, more importantly, another life update. My wife and I are going to be traveling this summer for like a month and a half. My wife had a break in between jobs, and my schedule can be flexible when it needs to be, and so we are going around the world. We are starting in California, we're going to Asia, then Europe, then to the East Coast, then back to California, all the way completely around the globe, which will be pretty cool. Never done anything like that before. And this affects you in two ways. One, you can follow me on Instagram if you like travel and places and seeing my travels. I'm really into travel. I love places. I love seeing that stuff. And you can follow along if you want to check it out. If you don't, fine. You're not obligated. This isn't one of those subscribe guys. Come on. I'm good. But it would be cool if you were interested in checking it out. Now, more importantly to you, this travel also affects you because my main channel has a lot of videos of new cars. More than half of my videos now are about brand new models, cars that have just come out, as you've probably noticed. But because I'm going away for like 6 weeks, I won't be able to film any new car videos for a while. So I only have 4 new model videos coming up over the next 2 months, but that's it. Now the videos themselves will not be taking a break. Over the last like 6 or 8 months, I have filmed dozens of older car videos that are gonna go up instead. But the point is, you won't see a lot of new cars over the next like 60 days. So for those of you who constantly email me and say, why don't you do older cars? And I say, I just did a Grand National. You will be happy because over the next 2 months, almost all of the videos that are going up are going to be older models and not brand new cars. Now, when I say older, I don't mean like 50s, 60s, 70s, sorry. It's a lot of stuff from like the 90s, the early 2000s, a couple cars from the 80s as well, just like 10, 15, 20-year-old cars. But that is going to be the bulk of the main channel this summer, especially in August. It's going to mostly be older cars, 90s, 80s, 2000s stuff. So anyway, that's my life update. Maybe you'll find that interesting. Personally, I don't think that's interesting enough for an actual video. So I wanted to give you a car update too. And I figured this would be a good place for this because it occurs to me that not everybody knows what cars I have. You know, if you're new to the channel, if you don't watch every video, which is fine, you may not know. And so I think it's smart to maybe every 6 months or a year kind of update. Here's what I have, here's what's going on with them. Now, to start though, I don't accumulate cars anywhere near as much as a lot of car YouTubers. You know, the Stradman is putting a 1,000 horsepower V8 into a Jeep Gladiator, which is awesome. Hoovy gets a new car slightly more often than I eat meals. And Tavares, Vehicle Virgins, all them, they get new cars all the time. But me, I don't really do that. I only have 4 cars. So let's take a quick look at them and get a little update. All right, first off, my Ford GT, the one behind me. This thing is so cool. I love this car. It's amazing. And, you know, I was putting these license plates up and it took, you know, a few days, an hour here or there each day. And I had to back the car out of the garage and put it in my driveway. And this is the easiest way to meet your neighbors when you move into a new place, having a Ford GT. I think I've met like 97% of men within a 4-block radius. But I have to admit, I got it about 9 months ago and I've only put like 2,500 miles on it since then. I'm just not driving it all that much, which is kind of embarrassing, but I've been insanely busy buying a house, filming for the channel, and then starting to film like ahead of time for this big trip. And I've been traveling a lot to film videos and for other stuff. And so I haven't had that much time to use the GT, but I do drive it when I can and I love it. 2 issues have come up with the GT. One is the tires. And I knew this when I got it, but it's really become an issue. It has old tires. And the previous owner, he had saved this set of tires in his garage because tires are not that easy to find for this car. And so these tires have a lot of tread on them. They were saved properly, not like with a flat spot. They were kept in a climate controlled area, but they're still like 10-year-old tires. And I really strongly believe that you should not be driving on 10-year-old tires no matter how nice they are. These are the nicest 10-year-old tires in the world, but still not great. You can see I have a new set of tires over here that is ready to go on the GT, but it was like the last set on Amazon. Yes, you can buy tires on Amazon. And so they're gonna go on the GT when I get back from my trip. Now the other problem the GT had recently, I was driving it in the rain and the windshield wiper fell off. And that's not ideal. If you're driven in the rain, it's good to have the windshield wipers not fall off, but mine did. And so I was able to, my wife had like a hair tie and I was able to kind of tie it in place, and so it got it back on. But I got to get that fixed too. So that's kind of the situation with the GT. Otherwise though, I have been using it here and there and I just love it. It starts every time. It's such a great car. Next up, my Land Rover Defender, my 97 Defender. I love it deeply. It is my favorite car that I've ever owned. Really it is. It is also a total nightmare. I guess it's been about 2.5 years now that I've had it. I've put out $15,000 into it and about 12,000 miles. I'm just like, come on. It just has an endless appetite for needing more. I just had to replace the rear seat belts because they got stuck in place, because when you drive on the highway, they flap around, and then the retractors broke. And I taped them up as best I can, but it still broke. It's something that's always seeping or leaking or stuck or something with the Defender. And I admit it's only stranded me twice. And stranded isn't really a good use for one of those times, because I was able to fix it on the side of the road with a keychain to get the throttle cable connected to the engine again. But one day the drive shaft snapped, and that wasn't fun. Anyway, it's been a little pricey to own, but the NAS Defenders like mine, they've gone up in value more than I have put into it. So I guess that's a good thing. I should note this is my daily driver. When people ask me, what car do you use every day? My Defender. I drive it every day in San Diego. I don't commute, so it ends up not getting that many miles, but I'm putting maybe 5,000 miles a year on it, 4,000, and it is, in fact, my daily driver. It doesn't rain here in San Diego really a lot. It doesn't get cold or too hot, so I have the roof off. I'll never put it back on. And so that's my normal vehicle. So if you're ever wondering what does Doug drive every day, a 97 Land Rover Defender, which truly is one of the very worst cars in existence. And I mean that very sincerely. Now, the other one is my E63 station wagon. I have a 2012 Mercedes E63 wagon, and people have asked me for an update. There's really not all that much to tell. I drive this probably the most miles of any of my cars because I drive it all over Southern California filming videos, but sometimes it'll sit for like 2 weeks if I'm not going anywhere. But I've put 30,000 miles in this car in the last 2.5 years, which is a lot for someone who mainly works from home and has other vehicles. So when I bought the E63 wagon, it was about 2 years ago, and I spent like $3,500 or $4,000 for an extension of the CPO warranty to up to 3 years. So it expires next summer of 20. And I've gotten back, I don't know, maybe $1,000 or $1,200 of that, but I suspect I won't get back the rest. Mercedes will make money on me with this warranty. Still, it's worth it for the peace of mind. But it has been a very reliable car. I think I have between 80 and 85,000 miles on it now. I do use it a ton. And it hasn't really had any serious problems. Nothing, it's never stranded me, minor issues here and there, but really nothing big. It's a very competent, good car. But truthfully, this is my second E63 wagon, and I also had a CTS-V wagon, so I'm kind of into the fast wagon thing. I've done it, and I'm kind of ready for a change. And I think my next vehicle will probably end up being either an SUV or something more comfortable like an S-Class. I'm using, not a new one, a very used one. I'm using these cars to drive these long distances in California, and I don't need to get 16 miles per gallon on being kind of a rough riding Mercedes station wagon. So I think I want something a little bit more comfortable since I'm using these cars more around town. The last car that I have is my old Range Rover 2006. Many of you remember the famous CarMax Range Rover. I got it from CarMax with a bumper-to-bumper warranty that I paid like $4 grand for, and the warranty ended up paying out like $20,000 in claims over the 6 years I had it. That thing is still on Nantucket, enjoying the good life with my friend Mason, who's on Instagram as Rovers of Nantucket, if you're interested in great Land Rover content. He uses it day to day. I get to Nantucket on the East Coast 2 or 3 times a year. And I drive it when I'm there, and hasn't really had any issues since the warranty expired about 6 months ago. But Nantucket is only 14 miles long, and Mason has like 8 Land Rovers, so I think if this thing is going to be driven like maybe a couple thousand miles a year tops, nothing huge. So those are my cars. I have those 4, and one of them is 3,000 miles away. So basically I just use these 3 cars. I take the GT when I'm going somewhere that has good parking, or when I'm going somewhere fun or to a car event, the Defender around town, always, and then the E63 when I'm kind of going longer distances. And those are my weird vehicles. So anyway, that's an update on my life, my cars. Get ready for the summer of older cars, especially August. That'll be the month really where I don't think I have any new car videos going up. And keep checking back on More Doug, because I will actually have a lot of videos coming on More Doug over the summer. Even when I've gone, I've shot a lot beforehand. So there's a lot of cool stuff to see.